let us now move on to our topics that we are discussing. So, as I said, we are talking about the 15 Shīlas. The 15 Shīlas is a new journey we're on. We're going to get to all 15. These are the qualities of good social character or conduct, a code of conduct for how to act for positive behavior. So, we've talked about the yamas and niyamas before. Those are 10 ethical guidelines for yoga. These are like supplemental, additional points to practice on a daily basis in order to be the best human beings possible and to have the best relationship with others. And they have internal functions and external functions. And maybe we'll get to both of these. If not, we'll at least cover forgiveness today. All right. So the first one is forgiveness. And one way that I like to look at forgiveness is that it is like like an ice cream flavor. Or something that makes you really happy. Forgiveness is a choice. Like choosing something that can make one happy. And when we forgive, we feel joy, actually. We feel joy because without the forgiveness, we're in a mental bondage. Let's say there's this person that at one point was really cruel to me, really mean. And that person was my friend, but suddenly they were so mean to me, and I don't understand why. So now when I walk down the street, I hope, oh God, I don't want to see that person. Oh, that person could be at this store that I'm at. Oh, might bump into that person, or I might bump into that crew. And so I'm walking around with a mental bondage in my mind. My mind is stuck like that. It's stuck. And that's not a good feeling. In fact, the mind wants to be free of all bondages. It wants to be free, flow, expand. Because the mind has the capacity to expand perhaps on an infinite level. Of course, at that point, it ceases to be mind. At that point, it's just infinity, just the soul. But if I forgive that person, if I forgive that friend, now I can walk around the streets and, hey, I'm cool. If I see them, good. If I don't see them, good. And if I see them, I'll treat them like any other person that I would see, to the best of my capacity. So forgiveness is a key toward contentment, toward happiness, toward peace. And we have to use it. We have to use it for actually our personal well-being. Sometimes, though, forgiveness is hard. Sometimes you forgive people with tears. And sometimes you forgive people and you're afraid that they might hurt you again. And you see, forgiveness is very subjective. For example, let's say that were in a bad relationship with somebody. You get a divorce. So now um, you don't want to see that person anymore. But it's possible that you can still forgive them. You forgive that person, but you don't have to call them on Christmas and wish them a Merry Christmas. You don't even have to call them on their birthdays. But in your heart, you can forgive. And you can only do that if you are ready to forgive. And it's a choice. You have to make the choice. I will forgive. And when you forgive to the best of your capacity, you have to try to forget. But you don't have to, like I said, call people you forgive just to keep a relationship. No, it's okay to keep your distance. But in your heart, you want to feel like you forgive. And you want to say, okay, I let you be who you are. I wish you the best. I hope that you will overcome your own traumas and troubles that cause you to act the way that you did. And I leave you in the hands of my divine Father or Mother. So, this kind of personal forgiveness is a personal choice. And one of the most satisfying things we could ever do for ourselves, to be happy. But we don't just live in a world of individuals dealing with individuals. We live in a world where sometimes there's collective harm done. So, for example, in Bolivia, where my family's from, there was a dictator in the 1970s. His name was Banzer. And Banzer was a brutal dictator who trained by the CIA in the School of the Americas. And was very, very, very lethal in repressing, protest and repressing socialists. And he left power after a while, but then in the 90s, the country voted him back in now democratically to be president. And so you see, it means that the people forgave him. But did he reform who he was? No. Did he pay for what he did? No. So sometimes we lack enough. The people have no memory, and they too easily forgive individuals that have caused collective harm. And those people we must not forgive unless they have completely reformed their character. Also, back to the individuals, it's also not a good idea to be so weak. It's actually a mental weakness sometimes if you forgive people too easily as well, especially if they are continuing harming you again and again and again and again. Then you're not defending yourself. And like parents who let their children, even into adulthood, just get away with so many things without really trying to take have a limit and say, okay, this is the limit. So in those times, those people who forgive and forgive, they're not happy. Actually, they have like a mental weakness. That's also not good. And it is worse when we forgive those that have done collective harm. sometimes people want to, like a mass shooter, people want to give this person the death penalty. But definitely the person should be punished, and I just came to my mind, in Norway there was a mass shooting. In the United States, mass shootings are unfortunately very common. But in places like Norway, is very, very, very rare. And there was a mass shooting some years ago. But the people of Norway, they have a law that the maximum sentence that one person can receive is 22 years, 22 or 25 years. And when there was a mass shooter, some people wanted to give this mass shooter the death penalty and go back on their laws. But the government just gave him the 22 or 25 years. Because in those years, they actually reform people. Unlike the United States, where when somebody goes to jail, they can land back in jail so fast. It has one of the highest rates of that. Because there is no reformation, there is no rehabilitation in the prison system of the United States. But in Norway, there is. And so in just 22 years, maybe that person can really transform their life. And so when those have harmed the collective, we have to be more vigilant. I'll tell you a story about forgiveness. There was a man who was like about 95 years old, and he was a Polish immigrant. As a child, he was in Auschwitz, the concentration camp by the Nazis in Poland. His father died there, his mother died there, all his siblings died there. But he was able to survive. And he found himself in the United States. And as he got older, he had married, and toward the end of his life, his wife needed more care. And so she had to go and to an assisted living place. And so now he was alone most of the time. And he decided to get a roommate. And it was actually a young woman in her 30s. And this young woman was a German immigrant. And her grandparents were very active in the Nazi Party. And the two of them were able to be roommates regardless. Because, you see, he forgave the Nazis. He forgave them for what they did to his parents and his whole family. And he didn't look at this girl as a descendant of her parents. He saw that she was innocent from that. And some people may agree with him, some people may disagree with him, but the point is that he's a much happier person, and he found some happiness through this new roommate, and he treats the young woman like a daughter, and it brings him joy, and he's happy. So forgiveness is really, really important for our own happiness. And the young woman was very interesting because she was very well aware of who her ancestors were. And she made an interesting choice. She was in graduate school, and she studies Jewish studies. So it's very puzzling. You know, she didn't continue the she didn't continue the those horrible sentiments of her ancestors against Jewish people. In fact, now she wanted to learn about Judaism, perhaps as a way to atone from what her ancestors did. And when human beings make choices like that, to forgive, to open one's mind, we go into the next Sheila. But we are out of time. And the next Sheila is magnanimity of mind. To be very, very broad-minded and open-minded and feel the expansion of the heart. So we'll have to cover that one next time. Now, we have some comments already. Thank you so much. Let's get into those. And if anybody has any more comments, we'll also address them. And let's see. Let's start with actually looking at the what people said about Bhavanam Kevalam. So Anushila said that it means only the feeling of infinite love. Oh, then Ravi joined us from Mexico. Hello, Ravi. And Alicia, when I repeat the mantra, it's a feeling of being washed over in loving care. Yes. Wonderful. Wonderful. Remember when you were a baby, somebody bathed you. Somebody took your little body and bathed you and make sure you were clean. You know. And we're still babies. We are the babies of the Supreme. And the Supreme, you can go to the Supreme like that, in your most vulnerable state, with all of your fears and worries and imperfections. And the Supreme is the true shelter, that true loving care. So thank you, Alicia. And Ruben said, Bhavanam Kevalam, Baba, love is all there is. Thank you, brother. Okay. Let's see. Hawk. Hitendra, singing to the loving creator God within and through me. Very nice. Sing to yourself. When you sing Bhavanam Kevalam, you are singing to your soul. That's beautiful. Let's see here. Okay, so far no comments yet. I see Chinmai. I missed somebody. Chinmai said namaskar. Namaskar, Chinmai. All right. Thank you. And then YouTube. So Karen said Bhavanam Kevalam means the meaning of fullness, of overwhelming love and oneness with the Supreme Consciousness. Yes, exactly. And then Peggy, I'm working on forgiveness, internal cleanliness. It helps to see the person differently. And then Karen says, I too continue to work to forgive those whom have physically laid harm to me and have had difficulty in it. Yes. Like I said, and as you know, sometimes we forgive with tears. Sometimes we forgive with fear. But, you know, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into our biggest and greatest decisions in our life. And forgiveness has a reward. So forgiveness is like a little little hit of some vast kind of hit of dopamine. It is a way to free the bondages of the heart and the mind. And so I encourage people to seek that reward. And I encourage people to forgive only to the best of their capacity. And it's okay to forgive little by little as well. Let's see here. Shannon says, I work on forgiving myself. That is another big piece we forgot to talk about. Thank you, Shannon, for bringing that up. Forgiveness of self. Very, very, very important. You know, some people walk around this world thinking that they're a bad person, that I'm a sinner. Why, they go up to God and they say, God, forgive me, for I have sinned and I am a sinner. But you see, if you sinned in the past and today you are no longer committing those sins, and today you are not a sinner, then you're clinging to the past. You're identifying with who you were. And before you were a sinner, maybe in your last life, in your previous life, maybe you were an animal. Let's just say a cat. A cat that neither sinned or nothing. Just was a cat. So are you still a cat today? No. The past is the past. And in the past, we were all worse than today. In fact, today we are better than ever because we are wiser. We can make a choice in the moment. And so when we approach the Supreme, no, you don't approach the Supreme thinking, I am a sinner. I am an evil person. I am stupid. I have done this and that. No, we approach the Supreme. I am your child. Please, Father, Mother, please show me the way. Teach me how to be better. I am your loving child. So we have to forgive ourselves and get rid of all of the labels that we put on ourselves of negativity, because we are none of those things. All the things that we've done is also not really who we are. They are parts of who we are. It's our ego, for example, that does everything, both the good and the bad. But we see even in our meditation that we are not the ego. We are the soul observing the ego. So even on that level, actually, you are pure. And so when you approach the Supreme, having forgiven yourself and being the soul, being a soul child of the great soul. Hitendra said, forgiveness is the empowerment of infinite love. See the person's broken-hearted child crying out for love they cannot give themselves. Yes. See yourself as a child as well. And when you make a mistake, ask for forgiveness. When you make a mistake, admit your mistakes and ask the people for whom you are seeking forgiveness. Ask them, what can I do to make this up? Because, yes, we're children in this cosmic perspective, from the cosmic perspective, but in our own world, we also have enough discernment in the mind to know when we do the right things and we do the wrong things. And we should always strive toward doing the right things. And when we have done some bad things, whether we knew it or not, we should be able to admit the faults that we have. Forgive the rattlesnake for trying to bite you, but do not invite it to your fire. There you go. Absolutely. Okay. So we'll read these last few comments and then we'll close. Pamela says, the only way I know to love is unconditionally. Once I forgive, I feel it is hard to have a boundary of safety for self, much like you mentioned that you can forgive without completely bringing that person back into your life. Some of this makes me think I may have been blocking out following through with true or wholly forgiving, as if in some way I need to protect myself. I'm learning the balance. Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Yes, forgiveness is not easy. I'll bet that as we scroll through our mind, we'll find someone we haven't perhaps fully forgiven. All of us. And if we can make the choice to forgive, but like Hitendra said, not invite that person necessarily to our fire, then, like if I see that a rattlesnake has bitten me, I don't hate the rattlesnake, right? I mean, the rattlesnake is a rattlesnake. The people in our lives who have harmed us, they are also how they are. Maybe they're very cruel human beings. I mean, there's some human beings out there that are insane. I mean, right now, anyways, so, uh, so sometimes it helps to see people for who they are and how they are, but there's a reason why they're that way. The rattlesnake isn't also just purely evil. It is that way. It is because of its design. And some people have been designed in their life to have done the wrong things, and that's why they cause harm to others. So, yeah. So I encourage you then to see forgiveness as an act of releasing the blockages, like you mentioned, Pamela.